Hey, could be. But I'm just saying, like, I wonder. True, but I mean, eh, whatever. All right, let me know when you are. Either way, this is good promotion for both of us, just because you get to pretty much show off your channel on my video, and I get to have my channel on your video. Get a double dip. Yeah. Well, I'm streaming on YouTube. It's currently, which classes do you feel are the strongest for PvP? Hey, we're about to get there. I think Bard. I think Bard. Just because I don't are you joining phase two or were you in phase one before I go in further? Because we were playing on the stress test and where they boosted us up to 25, and I felt cleric not cleric, I felt Bard was S tier. I felt Bard was S tier. So I think for PvE and PvP, Bard is really good. You have you have like your kit is, let me move this around a little bit. Probably move this here a little bit. I think yeah, we can still see. So they have melody, which allows you to play an AoE song, and the melody gives you can pick only one melody, but the melody lets you pick from movement speed and stamina regen, I believe it is. One of them is mana regen. You have another song for health regen. You have a song that boosts damage, and then you have a song that gives you a 25% chance to heal off the damage that you've done. So if you're in a large raid group and you have four or five bards, and every one of them have at least one song going on, then you're cooking. You're cooking. Um, what's up on Twitch? Are you using Restream? Do you have the Restream channels dock up, or did you close it? All right. Well, do you have the one where it lets you toggle and turn on the channels on and off? It should say restreams channels on okay, go to the docs in the upper corner, and then you should see an option that said, like, you should see all the different docs. One should say restream channels, and if it's not checked, click it, and then you'll be able to see it. Once you do that, and then you'll click update channels at the very top, or you can go to Twitch and change the channel there. For me personally, my channel for Twitch is going to stay live on Twitch, YouTube, X, and Kick. Choose your experience. Actually, I might change it. Choose your adventure. There we go. That's better. Choose your adventure. And we're gonna keep it like that so people know I'm multi-streaming. And if you want to get off of X and watch me on YouTube for a better mobile and TV experience, click the YouTube and get there. I didn't finish the alert for Kick. Y'all get the gist. You should get night. Are you on Twitch? You should download that bot I sent because you can manage your title for Twitch and YouTube from the bot and make your like do all that. And it will let you do. This is a strong tool I'm sending you. Alrighty. All right, we're back. We're good. Hmm. If I hold on, let me start this for Alrighty. If we're starting off with Bard, I'm gonna say for me personally, if we're doing the PVE route first, I think I think a Bard is I did give it S plus initially, but if I really think about it, I'd do it all over again. No, I give it an S plus still. I think they're strong. S plus sacred. And, well, I need to add a column under add row below. There we go. I don't think I would ever want 3 clerics, but sorry. Well, the reason why I think Bard the reason why I would not want 3 clerics in a game in 1 match is, like, yeah, I guess we could have a lot more direct heals, and, yeah, you could put, say, Blessed Weapon on a tank or a DPS, anything like that, but I just feel like that if you say you had 1 cleric, because I think 1 cleric is all you really need just for direct heals on the tank and have them as the main healer for the tank, and all the heals for that are like if you have 1 bard that's focusing on providing mana, and then say you had another bard that does the healing, I think those like and you had a cleric. I think the bard that to the 2 bards alone, since theirs is more their healing is more like AoE. You can do single target, but the AoE for with the bard with the mana and the healing, I think is meant more for being like the off healer. And I just feel like their buffs, if you had more of their buffs available, you could benefit more just because the alacrity buff is like a 25-30 second cooldown. And if you had more, and it's only lasts for a few seconds, so it's going to be down longer than it is available to the team. So, say you had um, 3 bards or even 2 bards, you could space it out and yeah, you could benefit more from their AoE buffs that would help the whole entire team complete objectives versus a cleric who can only really like buff 1 person. And is my mic off? Ooh, no, my mic is off. Thank you very much. My mic was off. Yeah, my mic was off. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I can repeat what I said. We're pretty much talking about the difference between Bard and I guess Cleric and why they are good at healing. I'll probably have to get some of my audio from Ush, but my stance on why I feel or not even why I feel, why I think Bard is an S plus class is because the group benefit bards offer, in my opinion, are greater than a cleric. Just because clerics buffs, they're more defensive and for mitigating damage, whereas and removing buffs. So like a cleric, you remove a lot of buffs from the enemies and you require an enemy to be staggered or incapacitated, whatnot, for things to proc. Whereas a bard, they are able to provide more offensive utility towards the team, and them having the alacrity buff, they have an AoE mana, so they can give everyone mana, not just 1 person. They have the AoE heal. They have a single target heal that is kind of the level one heal is kind of lame, but I it still gives you a little bit. Um, they have a solid amount of damage, which if you're wanting to kill mobs, I mean, I think that'd be kind of good. They have a lot of they also have a lot of CC as well. They like marionette. They have a lot of debuffs. I believe their songs overlap way better than kind of how I feel like with the songs overlapping, you get a little bit more versatility. Um, just also because you're able to also give group mana, not just you only can give mana to whoever is actively auto attacking with the bless buff, whereas a bard is going to give mana indiscriminately of who's around them with their song. Same with healing, and same with whatever the third person wants to add. But if you wanted to min max it, in my opinion, I would say do two bards, one heal, one cleric, and then you could do a DPS and a tank,
Yeah, I
and
think
that's five people.
the
And the two bards would offer enough. I feel enough DPS to allow the group to pop off. Oh yeah, and they have mass sleep. Morbid was saying they have a mass sleep, so they can mass CC an entire area.
the thing that I see from like cleric though is if you have two clerics, you have the option of if a cleric dies, you're not completely screwed, you know, because having one cleric die means the other cleric can res them, which pretty much brings the entire party back into play, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the res is OP. I just think that if you have two bards that maybe are able to off heal, then the likelihood of the cleric dying is not going to be there. Just because I think the reason why clerics draw so much aggro right now is because we don't have as many bards in a group to offer that off healing, heal and do damage. Like when we were doing our group stuff, like we when we were playing the other day at the last day of phase one, we had that cleric, and in my opinion, I was out healing the cleric. He was like, "Oh," and I'm like, the only thing he had on me was literally the res. Like the only thing he had on me was the res, and I was healing him. So it's like we had two clerics, and we were still suffering with the one. And I just think that if I just think that the two bards is good, man. I like bards. I think they're really good. I think they're strong. They might get nerfed or they might get changed, but I think a cleric and I play and me playing cleric, I would have liked to have more bards just because I think they would have allowed us to have a lot more versatility in how we I don't know. But I will put cleric at S. I do think clerics are at S tier just because they're healers. When it comes to solo play, they when I played my cleric, I was able to tank, especially like was it 14? I was able to just tank 4 or 5 mobs by myself, heal and damage.
I think for
I
me,
get
I'm balancing a little bit of bias, right? Because I love Bard. Bard's a lot of fun. And you might be right. It's probably S plus. I think cleric is definitely S plus though. Cleric is so needed right now. If you get in a group, it's you can't always replace your only cleric with a bard, but you can usually replace your bard with a cleric. So I'm gonna put cleric in S plus. Bard, I'm gonna keep it in S. I think you made some really good points, and I think it almost moves in to S plus for me. But I still think it's S for me.
well, I'm looking at it as just like an archetype in I think.
Yeah.
And if I'm talking about what's needed in a group, yeah, I would pick a cleric over a bard. A
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
a like
What do we
if I had to pick, yes, a cleric is going to be on my team. Like if we're playing dodgeball, yes, I'm going to pick a cleric
a
over
dodgeball?
a
Oh, what a weird pick.
like
If it was dodgeball, I want the
you know what I'm
bard.
saying?
He can move much faster.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I
If
know
it's
what you're
like
saying. I know what you're
if it's
saying.
like I'm picking teams, it's like I need a healer, so I'm going to pick the healer over the bard because it's healer. It's the healer.
Yeah,
But if I'm talking as what I think is a better overall archetype, as a over like just overall, I think the bard is better because they have their sustain and their sustain and damage is peak my
that's good.
opinion.
That's
They're
very
able
good.
to they're able to do enough damage and sustain where they don't need anyone else. They are literally jack of all trades. Like when it comes, especially like when it comes to their name, they are the jack of all trades.
I think
They can do what they want to do,
I think they're
and
like a
that's what I think.
knight. They're like a knight of all trades. They're a little bit better than just like the jack. They're
Yeah,
they're not they're better at some classes at what their class that class does. So I think it'll probably get tweaked, to be honest, because Bard is really good right now. It's very good. Yeah. Okay. What's your thoughts on? Did we go over? I think we talked enough about cleric and bard, and those two always go in like a duo. So what do you think about
yeah.
fighter? Let's talk about fighter.
Ooh, fighter. I didn't really play much of fighter. I I didn't like the feeling of it, but that's just I think from playing it with my cleric, able to group fighters, seeing how other people played
Hmm.
I when we did this the first time, I put fight. They are I think they are solid. They're pretty. I don't know. I'm leaning S and A. Like it's like A plus S. You know,
Yeah. No, I get
that's
you.
where I'm at. I just think
So
they because I
let's.
think
So it's a DPS role, right? So you've got a handful of DPS roles to choose from. If you just get the choice to choose DPS, who do you want in your group? Do you want a
if I
fighter? Do you want a ranger? Do you want a mage? I see you've put. Is this a summoner or what is this rogue? This is your tier list, I think, right?
yeah, that's the
It's like
old one. I
rogue.
reset it,
Dude,
but
I
I
might
did
skip
have
those because that's some guesswork right there.
yeah. Well, that
I
was
might.
at the end.
Yeah.
Like, what do we think? We speculate.
Yeah.
Um,
So build your dream
but
team.
yeah, I
Do
ended
you
up
want who's your first pick? How many of them in your group do you want for as far as DPS goes? Like, you want fighter? Are you gonna pick a bunch of mages or rangers or what's the plan?
heard that for some strange reason, fighter was. I thought it was one of the most played
No, I've seen a lot of
or did I
fighters.
don't know.
Depends on the
Yeah,
server,
I think
probably. Yeah,
yeah, we played on Lineth and Lineth. I mean, maybe it's because we had fighters in our. I felt like every every group there was a fighter, just because they could almost tank. I think they're S tier for real, just because of like as an overall class. I think I would want at least one fighter in my team. Like I need one fighter because if the tank leaves, who else is going to do it? You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Because if there would be times we're playing and we have a tank,
yeah.
a fighter tank, and I'm healing the fighter. Like, buddy, you're now the tank because
It's pretty
we
hard
can't
for a
find the
fighter.
tank.
Yeah, it's pretty hard for a fighter to tank at early levels because they don't have any sort of threat generation abilities that can like supersede a healer's threat generation because that prioritizes at low levels. But when you're like, I don't know, like 15 plus and you've got some decent gear on and you can do a decent amount of damage, it might even not be 15 plus. I've been able to tank at like level 7 or 8. So yeah, probably starting off at like 7. If you've got if you're not like empty slots and you've got got equipment in every slot and you're dealing enough damage and you're in a call with your other damage dealers, like you're communicating, because that does matter, right? If you have no tank, then it's really easy to pull off aggro. So like the ranger might pull off aggro and then suddenly the ranger is running around and messing it up for everybody. Not to say rangers are bad, they just can't tank the way a fighter can. They don't have any sort of sustain that can keep them up when the healer can't drop something. Um so it's pretty hard for them to tank, but if that's all you have, you can totally do it. And it works great in duos. Cleric fighter, that you will be able to hold down your job as a tank if in cleric fighter alone. But if you have other DPS in the group, a lot of times one of them can pull the aggro off, and then it becomes a problem. Um, I think I'm gonna agree with you, but I'm gonna be a little biased. Fire is my main. I'm gonna put it in S. Uh, I will give up that S plus. I don't think it's S plus. It's a lot of fun. I think the thing that uh I consistently bump into that people want is they want range damage dealers, right? Because the sometimes the cleric wants to be, oh, I only want to heal the tank, right? And they don't want to, because if you're up close, you are going to take damage. That is just a fact. You will take some damage that your ranged damage dealers won't necessarily take. Um, but the fact that you can off tank, and I don't feel like any of the other classes can do it as well, um, other than the obviously the actual tank. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in S. Um, I'm happy with
I
S.
have fighter. Honestly, I have fighter at S as well. My reasoning, well, the reason why, I guess the only reason why I would either put it, and that is, this would be to answer the question out if it's, would be because the early game for a fighter is difficult until you get that self sustainability,
Mhm.
and that may discourage an endeavor to maybe melee or MMOs if you're not paying how much health you have. And they have a unique mechanic, which, what is it? Counter most of other archetypes. They use different types of stats, bonuses. So you got to keep attacking, moving. And I think a lot of people understand how to manage their momentum. So if you're not paying attention to that, or that's good at keeping, there was like an overkill ability that fighters had, allow them to maintain their mana. Kind of have to learn how to continuously stay alive out.
Yeah, you
That
basically
is
get
what that is my
you get two spots where it starts to shine. So you get your early level. You can get your first self sustain online as early as level 3. You can pick up because you have you have your ability that is basically your execute, and then you have your next point, which you'll get your second point at level 3. Um, and then you can pick up turning that execute into a whatever it overkills an enemy for, it returns most of that. I think it's 50% of that as health and mana. So really, really easy to keep your mana sustained early on. You may still have to eat occasionally, but probably not as much as other classes. Um, when you get to, I think, I want to say it's like level 11 or 13, there's the third kind of bracket of skills at the top. And as soon as you get blood fusion, that's when the game changes for fighter because you can start uh soloing content that a lot of classes couldn't solo unless you're a bard or a cleric because they just don't have the sustain. Um, and you can fight larger groups of mobs and kill them quicker than probably any class can solo. I've seen fighters, or I've seen rangers attempt to do the same kind of thing and die a decent amount of times out of their pulls. Whereas the fighter is like, as long as you're not half asleep, right? And I've done my share of grinding at night when when basically nobody's on, and I did a grind from like 9 to 13, and I stayed up like all night. And I didn't have new coffee or anything like that, so like I know a couple of times, and I do sleep play. I've had that before. So I'll wake up and be like, oh, I'm level this, you know. So it's not that you can't, if you get your rotation down, it's not complicated. It's fine. It's a great class, and I would say it's good for beginners too. You just got to make sure you pick your sustainabilities. If you don't have those, you will struggle. So those are priority. They'll probably have other builds and stuff when the game gets more fleshed out, but those are like core abilities on the fighter that are optional because you do have to select them, but they're not optional. You absolutely need them as a fighter right now. But fighter S tier, my book. All right, what are we at next? Mage,
What is
Planendorf. Not looking at my stream right now.
hop on share chat?
Uh, share chat. Start sharing chat. Chat. There you go.
Or not
What?
start getting some. Let us share.
It is S on yours. It's it's
It's
uh
S plus on mine,
it's
baby.
S plus on yours. It's S. It's only S on mine.
I made an S plus. Added a so I have Bard at S plus and Cleric at S and Fighter at S. But yeah, that's my take on. I guess that's is that. Are you done with Fighter?
I'm done with fighter. I finished my rant. Yeah.
Next up is Mage. So fighters benefit the most from medium. Yeah, I think medium armor, and you could probably do a mixture of medium and heavy because you can have 8 armor. I would do you get like an 8 set bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could you could do maybe like 3 for heavy to get the mitigation, and then that early game mitigation, and then get 5 in medium armor to get the damage easily easily tank a little. You know, that's what I think. That's what I would do. Fighter do like a 3-5.
Yeah, so your cloak right now, and I think they're going to be adding new gear in phase 2 coming up. But uh medium armor on the cloak currently, and honestly, I probably wouldn't upgrade your cloak to the level 10 stuff. It's debatable. Personally, as a fighter, you get your sustain from damage, so I care very little about constitution comparatively to strength. I want lots of strength. I want lots of damage because damage means, first of all, damage, and second of all, it also means health, right? Because you're healing from your damage. So I care way more about strength as a fighter than as a or than constitution. And the medium armor, the reason the benefit from the medium armor is there's more, as far as I've seen, there's more strength points on medium armor than there is on heavy armor. Heavy armor, you get a ton of constitution, which is great. It's not as good as strength, in my opinion. Um, and the reason I say back piece is there's only like four pieces of armor currently for your back, your cloak, that actually have strength on them, and one of them is just the bog standard basic River Stalker set. So River Stalker set has like one strength and like one physical power, but basically my you don't actually get any more strength than that until you find level 20 gear. So my opinion is make your River Stalker set at least green quality, because then it'll have like two options on it. And then enchant it to +7 if you have the gold for it, because it will it will last a while. In fact, even as you're getting gear from level 20, it might not be a replacement for it. It will last you a long time. So that River Stalker back piece for the fighter, probably for the ranger too, is peak. So, and I agree. Mix your heavy armor and medium armor to make sure you get two set bonuses. You want the mitigation and um probably pick strength over con, in my opinion. Build how you want, but I
Yeah,
think that's better.
yeah. I just like the 3-5 just because that's how I would. That's kind of how in what was it? What was the game Amazon made? New World. New World. They had set bonus in ESO, and you have like different set bonus. You were a tank, do like three heavy armor, a specific build. It made sense after I saw this. You know, I even need that the last piece there and by time because by the time you get all, because
Yeah.
you could almost go 3-3-3 and get the first
For
bonus
light
set
armor,
from yeah,
what do you
like
get
from
from
each
the
one
set
of them.
bonus for light armor? I haven't even looked, honestly.
I'm just I was just
Oh, you can't 3-3-3 because there's eight pieces of armor, right? So I guess you would get
oh yeah,
three
you
three
couldn't
two. Yeah,
3-3-2.
yeah. No, you'd be missing
Well,
it.
I guess you could actually you could do 3-3. You could get a well 3-3-5 and then three. There's a set bonus. Where did we get the? We were wait one group.
No, yeah,
Uh,
there is a set bonus, but that's steel bloom for the necklace.
yeah, Steel Bloom. There we go.
I don't think those are a part of your, because they're not medium armor or anything. They're jewelry crafting. I don't
Oh,
think
they're
they.
not. I was just saying you could get a three. I was just saying you could
Oh, yeah, you'd get your three there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay.
couldn't do math before, but I could for that one.
Yeah, there you go. Okay,
All right.
so mage. What are we thinking mage for?
Still think Mage is A tier, just because you can still do damage and probably solo some. But as far as you're gonna get, you not gonna be able to just here as we didn't play with that many mages. Played with a few. I did enjoy playing with mages. They were able to do. Don't like they're kind of
Yeah, I'm not gonna put him A tier. I don't think. I think mages get B tier. I don't think they're. I've seen them do a lot of damage, but I've seen some people really like mage as well. I did get to try mage for the level 25 boost during one of the stress tests, and I personally did not like it at all. I leveled a mage before, so I kind of understood what I was doing too. And the mage for me, um, it doesn't have a good toolkit. It has some damage abilities, but it doesn't feel like, when you're stuck in that scenario where you're like, oh, I need to problem solve right now. Like, oh, I'm getting attacked. I'm getting hit in PvP or PvE. I pulled an extra mob. Uh, you've got one teleport. You got one blink. Same thing. Uh,
Give us
they have a sleep. It is a longer cast time. Bard, I believe, has an instant cast incapacitate. Warrior has an instant cast incapacitate.
Cleric does
Uh,
too.
Cleric does too, and the mage, I think it takes like 3 seconds to cast it. So during those 3 seconds, you've already taken a lot of damage. You do have one shield, but in my opinion, it's not nearly as good as the fighter's heal. Any of the bard's healing spells, obviously not cleric healing spells, it just isn't enough. It doesn't have a good toolkit, and for a magic user, I feel like if they were gonna build, if you have spells, you should have options, right? A fighter,
You mean by
so like, yeah, yeah, okay, so they've they've said that the developers, they've enjoyed D&D and they've like taken some inspiration, and I don't see it at all in the mage. None of the inspiration is in there because they don't have any utility. The mage just
yeah, I
doesn't
want to
have
see a
any
polymorph.
utility. I need to see a
Polymorph.
polymorph. Exactly. There needs to be a polymorph. It needs to be a fast cast time. It needs to be a long duration, honestly, and breaks with damage, maybe even heals the target back up. So it's not like just lock it down and then once it's half health, lock it down and then hit it again. It's kind of like a reset kind of thing. Like you should have those kind of utility things as a mage. Um,
Well, you do if you play around with their element abilities a little bit more.
yeah,
That is one thing. So, like, I think
you got your
it might.
slow. Yeah,
Well, what I'm talking about is if you played around with how some of the so say you electrify an enemy and you use like ice bolt on that enemy, the ice bolt shatters and it turns. So when you look into the talent, work with each other and how I feel like that's where you can get a little bit more X. I would like to have seen. I would like to have seen more Kane. It kind of like,
yeah,
and there on my YouTube, they said we're only. I do agree with that, and with the hybrid. It's just that I think when it comes to mage, for people are wanting to get a little bit more visual. They, if you don't really look into the skills and see how mage, I think it's easy to get bored with it because it's not any up front. Mage is kind of subtle. Well, that's how I feel about it. Because if you don't spec right with your build, then you're not going to be able to have that extra layer of And I think also a lot of people are accustomed and how they can blink their abilities. They kind of had more as polymorph. I want to see a polymorph. Give me a polymorph.
I gotta have the polymorph. Yeah. You don't sound choppy to me.
Might look choppy on the.
Oh, okay. You don't look choppy to me. Yeah.
I don't know.
Hear from some of your other people in chat, maybe.
He's on your chat.
Oh, okay. So I maybe my
Maybe.
I
I
was
don't know.
having so Planendorf, I was having some issues with my internet. We actually had like three internet shutdowns earlier and had to restart the stream. So it might be it. What's better for fighter, action combat or tab target? Uh oh yeah, good catch because that is important. I've seen some people say that they hate action combat. So I have a friend. He says he's just turned it off. He in fact disabled his key binding for it, and I think he's insane because action combat for a fighter is where it's at. In my opinion, he doesn't play fighter. I play fighter as a main, and action combat is absolutely where it's at. You I mean like even in action combat, you can tab around things that you're facing. So you can still be like, oh, I'm still trying to target this one guy. I'm still going to tab until I'm like making sure that I'm targeting, like fine tune that target selection because you are, you're going to probably go a little bit hybrid. It is a hybrid system after all. But action combat is just more options. It's faster. It feels more fluid. I mean, tell Moikapy, like you said the game changed for you after you figured out action combat, you know?
Yeah, I got 2 points, two things real quick.
Yeah.
The number was saying that their wife played mage and they fighter. The reason why I have
In
mage
PvP maybe.
as reason why I have mage as A is because I think they solo like I just well they can take on con. I just think the durability of it hard. I don't know. I think they would just be an A because they're good, but I think as far as a new player going out, I think fighter, cleric, and bar be, and then as for Orbit's question, do it's all right that we move to mage, but the action combat I felt great for play. Whenever I played range, I just especially like when I played cleric healer, and yeah, range over melee is. But whenever I played range, I like that. Like sit back and chill. But whenever I would just action combat, focus more on the traditional combat to heal and everything like that. But whenever I was DPS and fighting, especially like on, especially with I played that action combat was the because I like having the directly where I want to. Also being able to around whenever you move the mouse, your character is versus having right click that way.
Yeah.
Being able to block with right click, left click, that was good. So it depends on what you like. If you're melee and you're not going to be you don't need to target anyone else. Action combat is
Hmm.
opinion, but if you're clicking everywhere, It'll be better for you just because look at the person plus your
Yeah,
and
healer is hard in
range.
action combat.
Yeah, healer's hard in action combat, and then if you're a range, yes, action combat is probably Call of Duty. You're gonna walk around, you're
Ah, it's
playing
not
Valorant.
that bad. It's like the lock on is pretty close. You don't
Yeah,
need
but
to
I'm
be
just saying
facing
like,
directly.
yeah, but I'm just saying like, you just walk around like if you don't actually target the person, just let the auto target happen when you look at somebody.
Yeah,
You just switch off. You're just moving to each person. Like if you were a rogue, brother, when rogue comes out, they're gonna be popping heads. Like
yeah,
mage can just look at you, cast some spells, let them go off somewhere else, look at somebody else, do the same abilities, hit the wand with you, hit the wand at you. Like action combat's really good with the range. Melee, you're probably
I like their
but
default key binding for action combat toggle too, because just Z is a really easy button to press to toggle in between your two modes. And I know it defaults to tab target, but it never feels like inconvenient to be like, oh, okay, let's go in and out. Like most of the time, I'm keeping action combat on. If I'm riding a horse or anything like that, I'm action combat's on, even if I'm not in combat, because I it keeps your mouse locked to the screen, so you don't have to like hold down a button. Um, and so you're probably going to be able to tell really quickly um what you like. You get into combat, press you press Z, figure out how easy this, how easy it is to target everybody with action combat, even if you're ranged. Um, and in my opinion, action combat's great because you basically point in the general direction and you hit charge, and you're off. You're off to the races, and then you're in front of them and you just swing it. So my pick, action combat all the way. But I do play a little bit of hybrid because sometimes you do need to like target a second guy. We were on.
3 videos on here. Oh no, I got two things real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for Penumbra, I'll say yeah. With traditional gameplay, if you're a healer, it's OP because you don't have to face anybody. You just sit in one spot and just cast all your magic, and it goes where it needs to.
Yep.
Perfect. Action combat, you actually have to face them for it to work. And I do agree, melee is kind of tough if you don't have a tank. The mobs really don't really show their attack. Sometimes they just hit you. You didn't know they were attacking. Like it's really animations range. It does benefit. As for age, that's I think they're A. I think they're strong. They do really good damage. It's a fishy. It might take some time. Doesn't mean that they you doesn't mean just because they're A doesn't mean correct. It's just that I think being the mage is gonna for you. It's just that these three, I think,
I actually want to add to the mage uh conversation too, because there is one other thing that I think continues to push it down the list to B. I'm not in the I don't know phase at all. I think it's still B. And I know B is the lowest on my list, but B is, I don't think there's any bad classes right now. There's nothing that's like, oh my god, I would never play this. So B is fine. It's not my favorite. But another reason that I don't like mage as much is in group play, you have to contest for gear uh, among your other party members. Who are going to be your guaranteed party members? That's going to be a cleric, probably a bard, which means that you're guaranteed to almost have two other magic people where there's no other guaranteed slots, which means you're going to be fighting other people for gear more often than not. Whereas I've noticed as a fighter, a lot of times it's me and the tank who are the only ones rolling out stuff. Because we've got a ton of clerics, two bards maybe, people that are not trying to get my gear, which is why I like fighter because you're physical, and the only other people that you need to watch out for physical aren't going to be guaranteed to be in the party. You've got your tank and you've got your ranger. That's it. And sometimes they're not even in there. The tank will be, but they're not always a ranger. So that's another thing that I can add to the problem with. I mean, it's not a problem. It's just how it is. That will also probably balance out as we get more classes to the game. When Rogue comes out, we're gonna have another. There's gonna be a ton of rogues because it's a new class, and
Yeah.
fighter is gonna go down again in that list of fighting for gear. Um, so
Well, I think when Rogue comes out, we're definitely gonna I'm definitely gonna have to restructure the tier because we're
yeah,
gonna have a little bit more data and we're gonna a little bit more preference and everything's gonna be balanced. Phase two, they start balanced.
yep,
Alrighty. I guess that's our thoughts on Mage. It's
yep.
still Penumbra. Penumbra's over here. Mage is squishy, but still doing the most DPS in our. I think they
I
do.
believe it. I
I
believe it.
believe it. I just
Yeah.
think when it comes to being balanced, Mage and my A X and my Ranger. I I think Ranger. This might be a hot take. I think the Ranger is C tier. I think they're
Really?
bad.
Oh, okay.
I think they're bad.
All right. I'd like to hear why.
I think
Hot
Rangers.
take followed up with some explanation.
I think they're bad because every time Ranger felt like we. I felt like
Really?
whenever I had age, even if it was just where were they? Where was this?
I mean, I see the
I
opposite thing.
felt
I see the mage is the one dropping that lightning orb that doesn't stop and just AoE ticks. Things like, "Oh no, something spawned down the hall. Sorry, my lightning ball is still going. Gonna pull everything down the hall." Like
I refuse.
you're seeing that with Ranger.
I think Ranger.
Okay. I'll follow up with that a little bit because we had a person on our server, Reforged Soul, and he was a very early level 25 ranger. And he said he played it uh he said late um I don't even know how long he played after he got to 25, but he did like late term content. He I think he fought Firebrand. He was grinding in Carafin for the gear and everything. But almost immediately after hitting 25 on his ranger, he ditched it for another class because he said this is dumb. I hate this thing. Hates the ranger. Um and I don't think I've never leveled a ranger to 25. I've played a ranger at 25, but I don't know how about the entire experience. Um I won't say C tier. I won't say C tier. Because I do know Ranger they have one ability. They have the marks, right? And some of their marks are the unsung heroes of a raid party because you won't see that happen. Like you don't see any visual. It just, basically they mark a target and that target's taking like 25%. It has 25% reduced defense, sorry. Boom, done. You're melting through armor and people don't notice it. People don't know why I'm doing this, you know. So I think it gets a bad rap. Um can't say I disagree with you on it being not a great choice, but I don't know about C.
Well, I have to pick between Ranger and Tank, and I put Tank just because if I have a 5-man team,
Yeah.
I'm picking a cleric, a bard, a fighter, mage. Fighter can you just put a bow on a fighter.
You know, I think I'm gonna tweak my setup a little bit. I'm gonna move Mage up to A. Because I do think Mage is better than Ranger. And I'll put Ranger at B. I think that's I think that's a little bit better. I don't think I think Mage is better than Ranger, for sure. And I'd much rather see them in my party. Because they
Get
have
element.
you have elemental damage, you know, they can enchant your weapons and stuff like that. It's nice to have. I do enjoy um a mage in the party more than a ranger.
He's like range better than melee. No, bow on a fighter is not as good as a range. Hey, I'm not saying it's just as good. I'm just saying you just put a bow on a fighter and you got a ranger. You know, like in
Not
my
quite as good,
opinion,
but yeah, it's decent. If you
no.
get a good enough bow, you're better than a ranger.
How I look at it is when the rogue comes out, why are you a ranger? You just put a bow on the rogue, and then you're better. Your stealth is better. You good.
Yeah.
You just hit him with the bow, go in stealth, then you kill him with the daggers, and you out. You good. You did the same thing the ranger was gonna do, but they couldn't do anything. Mate, they couldn't. Their stealth ain't good. Hey,
There is one thing I do like about ranger though. And I've never seen a ranger do it because I don't know if they realize the utility of this, but ranger actually has a good amount of utility in that they can support tanks pretty well. They have camouflage, which drops all threat. Just drops it. Says, no, you don't target me. You can't even see me. So the minute you hit camouflage, no enemies are targeting you. I mean, if they're swinging in the area, you can still get hit by stuff, but they're not targeting you anymore. Which means that you can help your tank pull a faraway enemy uh, and pull them closer to the tank grabs aggro, and then to get yourself off aggro or drop some mobs that you didn't want, camouflage out, you're done. Rest of the mobs go back and you pull the thing you wanted. So I haven't seen next level pulls like that, but those can totally happen, and I think they will in like high tier raids and stuff like that. When does test go live again? They're gonna have a stress test tomorrow. I want to say at like 1:30. Um, but that's just a stress test. That's not the server wipe. Server wipe is December 20th, so that's Friday.
yep.
Yep, we're all looking forward to that.
Friday we should back maybe.
Yeah,
Unless
they should still
they
have
come back into the 23rd.
what? They wipe, but don't let us in until the 23rd. Where'd you hear that?
Hey, I don't know. I'm just saying,
Oh,
because it's supposed to be
don't
during the
speak
week.
that.
It's supposed to be during the week. So if they wipe it on the 20th, they could be like,
Nah, they'll leave it open. There's no way. That'd be crazy, dude. I think they're gonna leave it open because they're gonna change their test dates. Uh, days of gameplay is gonna be 5 after wipe. You're gonna
get
get
5 days a
5
week.
days of gameplay a week. I haven't seen a confirmed source that was official on which days those were, but I believe it's weekdays. So they're gonna be missing Saturdays and Sundays those aren't open. And I think that's just so that their team can start taking like real people work weeks, which is good. You want to support the intrepid team. So that's not an official confirmed schedule, but it is official that it is 5 days. Oh, we got off track, didn't we? We on Any other
The days are
thoughts
during the
on?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now the days are going to be during weekdays.
Pretty sure too.
And phase one ends, phase two week, and phase three.
Planendorf says brakes, no brakes on Intrepid train.
And bruh,
They've been working hard though. You know, I seen it. I post a bug and suddenly it's done the next day sometimes. So they're doing the hard work over there, and I appreciate them. But yeah, we all wish they took no breaks.
see, Penumbra's over here like, no, dude, tier range is S tier. Have you ever thought that maybe if we keep Ranger at C tier, they won't nerf,
Oh yeah, guys, they
and
figured it out. We're just
and
rating
then
them really low so they'll buff our favorite classes.
maybe we should just chill out. And anyways, you didn't hear me say that.
It was all alleged. Why wouldn't Friday, Tuesday, and have Wednesday, Thursday off? Yeah, that's they wiped on the 20th. Um, that does make sense. Yeah, but theoretically it could be. I saw one source. It was Reddit. Talking about they were going to be closed uh Saturday and Sunday. But again, that's not official. That's Reddit.
I mean, we'll see. I'm betting Friday, Tuesday with Thursday for.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hurt. I don't know. They could wipe it on that Friday and then let us pay during the week. Christmas is going to be on.
I think they're going to leave it open over Christmas, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
And
think they would start it Friday and then do
I
the full week and
I personally hope
put it
they
down.
don't personally cuz I still going to hang out with the family and I do want to be on 24/7 while it's live. I want to get that edge. I want to hit 25 first, you know. And there's no way I am. There's no way I am because there's people that are like I'm not going to visit the family at all. I'm going to play all week, you know.
Yeah.
There'll be I'm not gonna do that, but there's gonna be people that do that, you know. So I hope they close it for at least Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I hope they close it then, but they probably will leave it open.
I don't know. Hope they hope they do week. Doesn't really. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me. But
I
yeah, I guess
saw
it's the
they
that's right now.
no, we've missed Tank, man. We haven't talked about
Oh,
Tank at all.
jump my gun. I was
Jumping the
over here
gun.
like
You moved
I
it
put
up.
tank as B.
You put Tank in B.
Well, because I'm not doing. I'm doing like overall. I don't know. I like tank
Yeah.
at B.
So
If anything, I'll switch. But
I think
Ranger at B and tank.
oh really, really tanking its score. Pardon the pun.
But
I don't think it's that low. Here's the thing. I think it needs a lot of work. I think Tank is not great right now. Uh but the problem is no one can you can't do the high level content without a tank. You absolutely still need a tank. So it's fulfilling its
PvE.
role. It isn't like, oh man, I can do whatever I want as a tank. It fulfills its role though.
Thank
Um,
you for the phone.
no, you're good. I think it fulfills its role. Um, I'm gonna be I'm actually gonna say it is adequate. And I think for me, adequate is A. I think I think it's an A. Because it's
Brett
not
hates fire.
what? What? We're gonna fight.
They're
What
like
number?
fight. They've said
Talk to me.
they've said fighters.
Oh my god.
Yeah, tank. Well, we're doing PvE PvP, and
We'll do
I
PvP
am
afterwards, separate list, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so we're just
and
ranking PvE content right now. Um,
and reason why how I'm doing my scores is pure. Like it's not group oriented. Like pure like where I think they are,
mm-hmm,
not how important they are, not it's just that like when people play the game and do when I start the character off, what am I seeing? You see a tank solo and I see I've played with fighters, they just tank everything, they just kill everything. That was the I had people who were tanks. Um maybe it was the tank that was bad,
mm-hmm,
but when it comes to versus American like good fighters, played for like of course people who were tanks, they were able to get they were able to protect groups level faster that way.
yeah. If you
But
want to find a group and you don't want to join a guild to find a group, you just want to say, looking for group in general chat, you will find a group as a tank. There's not enough tanks out there. So, tank is a solid choice because if you like playing in a group, you like just random people every day, and you don't want to like or you either you don't want or can't find a dedicated 8-man group that you're constantly in as you get on. Uh, tank is some Tank is the place where you're going to find a group always. There's more than enough clerics out there. There's not enough tanks. Um, could be because they're only adequate, in my opinion. Um, in PvE, they're not great, but they do their job, and no one can do their job for them properly. Like you can kind of as a fighter, but not really. You know? Yeah. My tier list would be a PVX, but I think cleric is S, tank, bard, ranger A, mage is B, and fighter C. But that's
I might change
PVX.
the PVX tier list. I didn't really do much. Uh,
So I mean,
even
so you want to okay, so PVX is just like an overall ranking. We could do that one. Um, I think the PvP experiences I've had were large scale PvP, like 20 man versus 20 man, which isn't like duels or anything, which I feel like isn't I don't think I don't think my assessment is nearly as good as like handling duels. And yeah, I think let's move to a PVX instead of
we can just do pure
PvP.
PvP because that's all I is. So if I wanted, I think I kind of want to. I'm gonna on it.
Okay.
Keep keep taking. I want to move fighter.
Sacrilege. If you're gonna move fighter down, I'm gonna move fighter up to S plus. No, I'm just
Hey, do what you gotta do.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't want them to nerf it either. That would suck. You know what? Fighters C. It needs buffs, guys. It really needs some work. Huh. Uh, okay. Do we want to do PVX as just like a all around, it can handle anything kind of rating? I think that one's better than because you said you don't have a ton of experience with PvP, so I think we should be following along with the same kind of tier list together.
Yeah, but if we're doing,
We do
I
PVX.
just put tank. Yeah, we do that. The reason why I put tank just because I don't know. I don't really have a good thing.
You think it's C?
Trying to justify. I'm thinking about everything that we said, other than
There's a lot of
I
rangers
did
out there though.
I did
So
see a lot phase one.
yeah. And keep in mind, this is current info. Like we all know that there's going to be subclasses of ranger that make ranger real like some people's absolute that's their only choice. Like that's all that they would choose because ranger and summoner are kind of going to be the pet guys. They're going to have the summons, so to speak, and that's really cool. And so ranger eventually at level 25 right now, that isn't the case. It's a bow guy, you um but absolutely can be that thing later on. So this tier list is just what's currently out there. Also, I want to hear pockets art here. He was saying something about the tanks in PvP. I have seen some PvP clips of tanks. That was before the gear debuffs, and I was seeing tanks hit really hard, and I was always assuming that that was because they were wearing stupid gear, because you could basically one shot anybody if you had decent gear. That isn't the case anymore. Is it still a really good PvP class? Tanks, are they a good PvP class? Top pockets? Seeing you talk about rangers here. I don't think I'm on slow mode, but I'll wait for him. But
Wave two. Yeah, Ranger's gonna come out potentially. Not Ranger. Rogue's supposed to come out during phase. I'd put them here. I think
I hope they do.
they'll be doing a lot of.
Oh, no
I
worries,
think Summer is
pockets.
gonna be interesting editing. I download the game from Ashes of.
Do we want to reset the tier list and go for a PVX attempt? Oh, I can just drag them down. Perfect.
We'll do the actual do the actual. Because this is just gonna be on the live stream.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to split it up? Do we want to split it up into two live streams or just continue?
Oh, I'm just gonna make this. Right now it's called. we're gonna do an actual PVX. Then I'll because I'm recording as well. Do it again. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. I'm getting.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna get a video and then because
I'm
hey,
just probably
check
stream
it
mine
out.
and leave it open here.
Start
Okay,
bonding
I got a
PvP
reply from
in
Pockets
small
here.
scale versus P. Okay.
Okay, damn it.
So what we can do is if we have time, break it down. And we can do.
Before we
Someone
move
said,
into the next one, I've got the reply on tanks for PvP and from Pockets.
did we just
Um,
do PVE or PvP?
that was PvE. Okay, he's saying clerics are the two oh sorry, tanks and clerics are the two archetypes who can actually take damage and sustain in a fight. I agree with that. I've seen bards do it too. Bards can do it
Yeah,
too.
I've seen a
They
bard.
have their healing shield that does pretty well. Um, and that shield's pretty strong. It can actually take damage and sustain in a fight. Tank is able to go to the front line and be in it all. Fought one who's able to also put out damage on us, taking a ton. Tanks are good at PvP because of their grapple. Being able to pull targets they need, pull them out of position, kill positions, tanks to knock down as well. Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. That grapple, I played uh, a Death Knight in World of Warcraft way back. That was my main for a good portion of time, and grapple was just whenever you had massive groups of people, like in group PvP, or you could just pull somebody in into AOE. You know, you have a bunch of mages dropping their blizzards down, and one tank or one grapple just pull them in, and they're dying. There's no way they get out of that. Especially if you get two tanks. One he charges out or dashes out, and you pull them back. You know, bards can sustain better than the others, but once the heals are out, they have nothing else. Tropic Stabber, kill a bard. They don't have the sustain after their heals are gone. They do have a longer cooldown on their heals.
Yeah, their heals are longer.
They are way faster. Yeah. Yeah. They're so I guess matchup matters a little bit. Um if you're dealing with if you're dealing with a range class, the bard isn't gonna be like okay, so you say you got a ranger, right, in PvP, and I don't think ranger's all that good, maybe right now. No, they got the snares. Yeah, no, they're good. That was a hot take. Um,
Yeah, I think if you
no,
have
they're
a
good.
heavy armor cleric, yeah, like if you have a good team that's together, I think a cleric can. You're welcome.
Thanks for joining, Planetdorf.
And you've been multi-streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Yeah, you've been everywhere, all of you. We're doing a share stream.
Yep.
Um, I head out for the night.
Farm
Got a
wipe it.
farm. Amen, brother.
That's right. Brownie points.
Imperial. What what is your play style? You played MMOs before? I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some coffee.
Cool. I'm gonna reset up my. I think he was gonna reset his stream, so he may go offline and back on. Because I think he was trying to change his title to a PVX. Um, but I'll probably just edit my bot afterwards. It always shocks me how fast he gets coffee. It's like it's got to be like 2 feet away from his desk. Yep, there we go. We knew it was gonna happen.
Say
I said it always shocks me how quickly you get coffee.
Well,
It
I
must
already
be
have it
like
brewed.
it must be like 2 feet away from your desk.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, walk right over. I gotta go downstairs for coffee. A trip, and I gotta brew it. Takes a couple minutes.
Do that before the stream. So I have a 15-minute counter. In that 15 minutes, normally I'm grinding up the coffee beans, coffee ready. So I can have my first cup. I sit down. So if I'm late to the stream, it's because my coffee is ready. And then periodically I'll get up and go get some more. Extremely
Oh,
excited.
that's why I take long for coffee because I use a French press. I don't use a drip thing, so it doesn't stay hot. So I gotta remake it every time. That's where I'm losing time to game. I need to get
Yep,
a
I actually
drip.
need to
I need to get a
get
drip
it
coffee
speed back
machine.
up.
Yeah. No, I got all bougie after working at Starbucks. Oh, I need a French press now. Starbucks. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's about the time. Yeah, I got a ninja coffee pot. It has like a side reservoir, so I don't have to move the pot bar. I just grind it up, put it on top, get the reservoir, boom, bang, make like 8 cup, 6 cup.
You
All right, we're
drink
doing
all of them? You drink all 8?
out of coffee.
That's actually yeah, I do that too. Yeah.
I'm a programmer.
Yeah,
What are you
gotta
talking
have the
about?
coffee. Yeah.
I drink a whole pot of. It's in my blood. What are you talking about? How else do you think I? What are you talking about? Drinking coffee is how I talk to the technology god. Figure out, what I'm saying, what's going on today. Like,
Oh, I
how do I
hallucinate
fix
the
this
code.
bug?
Yeah. Become one with the universe. Take enough coffee. Okay, let's do a PVX one. I've cleared my tier list out and I've lined them up. Bard, cleric, fighter, mage, ranger, tank. Ignore the other twos because those are just speculation. Um, let's go for the first one. Another question. And so when we say PVX, we're talking about essentially how well they are at handling the different types of gameplay. So that probably includes the major, it really is everything, but the major kind of like core ones. And that means um, it's going to be your PvE, which we've already discussed. We kind of know where we stand on PvE. It's going to include PvP. So basically, that you encounter some people out in the wilds you're gathering and somebody flags up and tries to attack you. You know, that kind of PvP as well as, you know, large group PvP or duels, like strategic stuff. And then kind of another thing that I think is in PVX, which isn't, I think you should include it as a category, is something that you wouldn't include for like a lot of other games, but a big part, in my opinion, of Ashes is one of their game systems, which you could kind of call PvP, PvE, and economy, which is your caravans. Because I don't think they're one specific type. You may not get any PvP in your caravan. You might make an entire run, there's no PvP. But it is a PvP encouraged activity. It's also one of the best ways to make money. Make your gold with caravans, right? Um, so I want to include how well people handle caravans as well. Um, so I think the three categories are PvP, PvE, and caravans. And maybe do you have any other ideas that need to be addressed in the PVX?
Well, my chatters. Oh, yep, no, they're from P. they had
Bless you.
Woo!
That was like a soundbite. It was the same sneeze every time. He's practiced.
They said try dividing PvP.
Okay.
I
I would
think
say small
I think that's
scale
a
is 8 or less because their party composition, their party sizes are, you're not a full party unless you got 8 people. So in, in like World of Warcraft, your party is like 5, but in Ashes your party's 8. So I think that's small. Eight is small. Large is whenever it has to turn to a raid party, anything over 8. I think that's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't see that comment actually. That didn't pop up in my. Okay, gotcha. I should still be seeing.
you
Uh
don't see my their chat
oh
only shares at YouTube shares Twitch as everything.
yeah, I'm multi-streaming too, but I guess that doesn't link it that way. That's fine. Okay, that's a good point. So I think we can include those two categories: small scale and large scale PvP. Anything else we want to include, kind of in the PVX category?
For my PV for this PVX category, this video, I am going to take an account of what you would both. Mine's going to be an overall, so both based on what both of us say, plus what community thinks as well. So if they have any, if you all have any input, please vocalize because I want to have a balance.
Yeah.
Be like my PX.
Yeah, my opinion might change too. Because there's modes of gameplay that I have focused on mainly in the previous phase one, that maybe there's some stuff that I missed, like Pockets was talking a lot of PvP stuff, and I've done large scale PvP, but that's only been like because like large organized groups. That wasn't me like leading as a general, right? So like um I don't feel like that gives me enough understanding to really, really take authority on that, on just PvP itself. I know which classes survive better in PvP because I've played most of them, but um, yeah. Okay, so let's jump into the first one. I've got Bard on my list. Uh, for PVX, um, honestly, I don't think this is a shock. I think Bard goes S plus immediately. It,
Bard goes S.
yeah, there's it is the jack of all trades, so I never feel like I'm missing something. Um, we'll kind of go over the categories I talked about. If you're in large scale PvP, people want you because you're going to be buffing your entire party or raid group, which means that, like, if you were going to have two huge raids, uh, it's not necessarily true that the party with the most bards wins, but the party with enough bards to give buffs to everyone is probably going to win. Those buffs are really strong, especially some of their sagas are like 30% boost to your primary stats. So like your power is like 30% higher. That's really high. Bard buffs are amazing. And so they're gonna do good in large scale PvP. I've seen them do just great in duels, and I think Pockets was talking earlier about once they're out of heals, they're kind of screwed for a little bit. They can run, so they're not as good in duels, but I've seen them be really, really hard to beat in duels unless you're like a cleric. Yeah, like a cleric is pretty good matchup for a board. Um,
When it comes to sustain, I would say, well, yeah, they would be able to. keep their health up long. It's just that I'm not sure if a cleric has enough.
You might be
Like,
right. You actually might
because
be right there.
their first ability which doubles damage and that's maybe like 8 seconds. So,
Yeah, it's really going to turn down to who runs out of
well,
mana first.
I think it depends on the bard song. It depends
Yeah,
on how the bard is spec in my. They were in a fight,
yeah,
and I could be completely off track, but I think I think yeah, that's pretty much what I think because clerics they have like what is it? Fight ability. They have judgment. Could do a lot of damage. They have maybe they could. PvP comes down to gear.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
gear matters, but let's say they're, for the sake of an argument, that they're similarly geared. Um,
yeah, everyone's gonna be same gear.
yeah. Um, but yeah, let's say they're same gear. If you're high tier or decent tier PvP, or if you're decent tier geared, I think the cleric is gonna have, like, if you both have decent gear, the offensive side usually wins. We saw that in the legendary gear. They had to nerf it because you could just kill anyone with auto attacks if you had legendary gear, even if your opponent was wearing legendary armor. All
Huh.
slots filled. So, that's nerfed down like considerably, but offense still does beat defense in terms of like gear. So if they're similarly geared and you both have gear, you're going to have an easier time killing targets. Like they both become more glass cannon. Um, so I think with decent gear, the bard and cleric kind of even out. The cleric can still totally kill the bard, and the bard, honestly, I think the bard would struggle personally. If you have that ability on the cleric that keeps you from dying, where you, if you'd hit zero, you just get a heal. Um, one
Clerics have
full
a silence
res,
as well.
yeah. They both have CC, so they're good. They're they're uh they're both really good. So where are you putting bard on your list for PVX? I talked PV. Oh, I guess I should finish. I talked PvP. We all know because we talked PvE earlier that I rated bards pretty high. Bards are
Clerics have a
great
silence as well. Saying bard kills cleric.
because of silence.
Clerics have a and a root and a stun.
Yeah, I think bards. I think bards might win the fight against clerics, even if, like, they both have good CC. Um, they're both instant cast CC, but I've seen bard do better burst, which cleric doesn't have a ton of burst. If you have good enough gear, like if you're both at like really really good gear, I think it evens out. The cleric could totally win against the bard. Um, but if you're just both like adequate gear, I think the class with the better burst is going to win. So I think bard would win. Um, Not 100% of the time, it matters player who's playing it too, but I think bard has the edge. Um,
Yeah, I think a bard could beat it well, not just because I think it's because of how a bard. I think it's how a bard's silence is applied to character. So a cleric, the little AOE AOE heal that they do on the ground. Well, if you spec, I'm pretty sure when it's at the damage spec, man, you have to. So if the bard can easily get out of that, but if they're focused on fighting the cleric and trying to up, they have a chance of being Bard's able to get it under their, then they can be. But if a Bard is able to just pick on Cleric and silence, that's a little. I think it would.
Yeah, but the
Bard
clerical says the
also
root.
have a,
You drop
yeah,
the
but you
root
have a,
down and the silence, and suddenly they're not moving.
but you have to standing in. You have to be standing in. So if you're a Bard, you have mobility, and if you're able to just jump out of that whenever they put it, you have to. You know what I'm saying? Like the cleric would have to silence you right as you're out of the root. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think
So
you
you would
drop
have
root
to,
first and then silence.
yeah, you would have to. You know what I'm saying? But you would have to catch them off pitch if they're if they know that that's like, yeah, Bard can break cease. So like if they can just remove themselves, he probably can just Eric, if especially if they're able to directly. Um, Eric though they do have they can directly apply. It's just that the islands that won't apply instantly.
Mm.
Clerics could cleric could maybe with that over time. That it's just relying on there are a, what is it? The cleric has like a fatal damage. I mean that like that was good.
Hmm.
Just that I think
I won't
Bard
say
would.
one automatically wins over the other. I think it does come down to how good you are too at that point.
Yeah, I think
You
it.
can
Uh,
totally pull it off, but I think the bard has the edge.
yeah,
I think it does have the edge. Not an unstoppable edge, but I think it has the edge. So
Bard. Yeah. Well, the cleric. Depending on how you spec the cleric won't run out either. Just because if you have there's one ability, your first ability have to where if you're doing damage, you'll you'll build up whatever, and then your heals and abilities will that instead your S weapon, your auto attacking also helps you. So like if you're auto attacking, because you're able to be able to do.
yeah. Okay, so where are you putting? I think I covered
Yeah, I
every
put
topic except like caravans. Um, which I'm gonna be honest, if you're defending caravans, we're already talking PvP. It doesn't give you any other buffs. I think I might take caravans out of the list. Because I feel like that's kind of PvP stuff. Like it kind of
yeah,
falls
small.
under the yeah, it's small scale PvP. It's like usually either solos or small scale. So I'll take it out because I don't think it adds anything to the conversation. Um, yeah.
So what does the community think? Y'all, what are y'all rating? What are y'all rating? Hard.
Where we think Bard is.
Now we got two S pluses, and where's community? Because majority rules.
Well, we had some people that haven't played yet. They were going to be joining here on the 20th. Yeah, we still want to hear it.
Y'all couple.
You also put it in S plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Well, Penumbrum, was it? Penumbra said vocalize. PVX, we're gonna put Bard for S plus.
So we got a new player. I guess. Are you going to be playing on the 20th, Wolverine? Welcome, welcome. If so, yeah. Hey, maybe we'll bump into each other. Um,
Eric.
yeah, let's go to cleric. I think because we had such a debate on whether there was a minor edge between bard and cleric, cleric's still S plus. I think it is. I don't think I can take it out of there. Um, it.
So
I know I was like keep S plus like a holy rank that I don't want to put a ton of things in, and I don't think I will. I think overall cleric is good in PvP. It's good in PvE. I mean, it was my S plus in PvE. Um, it lacks in mobility, we'll say. Yeah, it does lack in mobility. I don't think that's big enough of an issue to bring it down to an S, though. I think it's still its S plus. What's your thoughts?
quick, we don't know what realm we're on. Uh, we're still deciding that with. So we were on Lilith, but
Yep.
move.
Also,
Um,
if you're thinking of choosing a server, something to think about. Not that it's like necessarily a bad choice, but it was for us. So we were on Lilith before, and that is currently the server where Narc, actual pirates, and a bunch of other streamers are on. I have no idea if Narc is gonna stay there. Um, actual pirates, I hope stays there because when I leave, I don't want to bump into the same server as him. He's fine. It's just that he has so many people that his group could fill the server. So basically, we are completely outnumbered. If you don't like something and they want to do something, they do it. It's just, there's nothing you can do to stop them. They had over 60 guilds. That is how saturated that server, Linux server, is with actual pirates. Um, I think they're fine. I've met plenty of players that were totally fine, and they were good players, good etiquette, all that kind of stuff. But if they make a decision on the server, like we're gonna run this city, that's what they're doing. There's no voting them out of that because there's just too many people. So we want to say on the server. So we're that's why we're not gonna be probably in Linux.
yeah, we probably. I don't know if we're gonna be on cast this.
I like Castus, but I'm
And we
not entirely
said
sure if we will be.
that small scale would. Right now, we're doing a X.
We're gonna go over the topics of small scale, which we briefly did. I feel like for the bard and cleric discussion, we kind of discussed both of them there in the small scale. We were kind of talking duels, like who would win in a duel, cleric or bard, because I don't really think there's any other classes that immediately come to mind. Oh, that's a good matchup for a cleric or a bard. They're both some of the best in PvP. They're amazing. In small scale at the very least. Tank's good in large scale or even mid scale, but not duels. I don't think tank is like the best at duels. Like it can tank some damage.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends.
If
It
you have
can
a
tank some
great, if you have a
damage.
great scale, great sword, or something, able to just able to, especially on a caster.
Yeah. Yeah, tank's good too. Yeah.
Cast is it. Hey, if it does, then we're gonna.
I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah, that makes.
Were they struggling with that?
Hold on.
It might have
Let's
been.
get back. Let's get back on this.
Yeah, yeah.
So I put cleric on SS. I'm going to put cleric at S tier. I have cleric at S plus. PVX. What would you all rate
For PVX,
PVX?
this means pretty much everything. You know, how well do they handle the game in general? If you're going to do all sorts of content, and I know we have some people that are completely new, but I still want to hear from the people who want to say something.
Probably gonna be a delay because I
There's a little bit of a
was
delay. Yeah.
A plus cleric.
A plus.
Or put A plus. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could move cleric down to S, but do I move cleric down? I think my mind is a little bit changed. I'm gonna move it down to S because I do think Bard excels better at general gameplay, like just kind of do everything. Um, for me to play, I think there's kind of two schools of thought. You have who do you want in your party, and then who do you want to play, right? And I think for the sake of this, most of my opinion is who do you want to play, right? Um, I want more clerics in my party because the more clerics, the less likely of a wipe in either a raid or large scale PvP. Even in small scale dungeon just party size dungeon, 8 people, I still want 2 clerics and 1 bard because the double res means if 1 cleric dies, we're still not going back to the start to go pick him up, right? You can
Hey,
res the other cleric. So
Crypto Juggle made a good point. S plus cleric complete requirement.
yeah, he's right. I'm moving back up. That is facts.
You guys never answered for Bard, but we'll have cleric and Bard at Bard. So all right, then we'll
It's going up to S plus. Let's
next
go.
on the list is fighter. You all thinking about fighter? I can subscribe.
So while we're waiting for them to say something about fighter, I'm gonna talk about fighter. Again, fighter is my main. I put it in S for PvE. I'm not gonna put it in S for PvX. I don't think it's amazing in PvP. It's but I think it's a big enough drop that I would say that fighter has the execute, but I'm I'm gonna I would say it's between B and A. I don't I'm kind of still biased and I still want to put it in A, but I think I'd put it at B for PVX. Um yeah, I think that these two, not that I still think it's enjoyable in PvP. The execute is really, really nice. When you get a crit and somebody was low and you see that entire bar of health just boom, just disappear, that's a lot of fun. Um if you have a healer in PvP, fighter can still be great. You have a pocket healer, a couple healers. Fighter's one of those really, really good ones. Um so in large scale people, you know what? It shouldn't be B, should it? It should still be A. It's definitely not. Yeah, I'm gonna move it to A.
Hey, what you
I'm gonna
got?
move it to A. It's
All right, you
it's
got A.
yeah, it's good enough in larger scale or mid scale PvP. I think it suffers in duels, which is the reason it's losing some points, but I don't think it's enough to push it to B. Um, Risque Attaque says server's already
So
on. I
I
thought they should start December 20th. That's the wipe. As far as the servers, they did have a couple of stress test servers that are going on that happened today, yesterday, and there will be a stress test tomorrow as well. I think it starts at like 1:30 Central. Um, don't quote me on the timing, but I think that's right. And during the stress test, they're actually showing sneak peeks because you can play the the Dunnier Dwarf and the new Valoon Human, the Desert Human. So awesome stuff. I put a video up. You guys can see it on YouTube.
also Risuke, we played phase one. Some of us got phase one wave. I got the alpha prior to the wave launch. They were doing a stress test this week.
Yeah, I was pre-wave. I was the entirety of phase one.
Same here. Wave one.
Yeah. All right. What are you putting fighter on?
So we got
You gave it an A last time, or was it a B?
I gave it at the end, I gave Fighter a B because everybody convinced me that it was bad. Uh,
See,
because they made
you
good
were playing with
points.
an expert fighter, and you didn't realize that all these other fighters are bad. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think people are bad at Fighter.
Yeah, could be,
Like I
could
think
be.
it's solid, but I understand the points that they're making. Like me, I think it would be. I had them originally at an A, so I think they're an A. But I understand where the number comes from because there's a reason why they gave it a well they're low and rating it they're rating it a B, but reason I understand because one they may have played with people who weren't
Standing in
because if you're a
fire.
fighter,
Yeah,
yeah, you got in the wrong place. Because if you're going to be a melee fighter, you have to be aware of where you have to know the fights. First of all, you have to have gear, and you can't fight in front of the enemy. You got to fight behind the fighter. Like if you fight in front, you're going to take damage when they leaves. And so,
yeah.
all right,
Another
I don't
thing
know
too
whose
is
that
like
is.
fighter. Um, we've seen you see a lot of fighters in like or in like a full group. And a lot of people do grinds in full group, like they'll get like 8 people in a group. And honestly, I noticed that, not to toot our own horn here, but we did considerably better with XP on grinding when we were just a duo. So like I feel like a cleric fighter can be an absolute dream if you know what you're doing, because we were soloing like 3-star mobs that were same level as us or even like 2 levels higher for just a duo, and we were getting more XP per hour because we'd take on 2 or maybe even 3 mobs at a time um with just 2 people. So we were monopolizing all that XP, which normally you would share with a group of 8. And I didn't see a lot of other fighters doing that. So I might be biased as far as like maybe people were just not trying that, but it works. It's a lot you can do a lot of damage as a fighter. You can totally go in smaller groups and monopolize the XP with your cleric or bard, you know. You do need a healer. But so where did you put it? I know you put it B last time. What's the PVX verdict?
I put fighter at A. The number says AOE is also behind. mean, I understand all about. I think it's all about how. So could be that how like for your team, fighters are just because we had fighters in our group and how we would approach in one of fight. So it's like I think it just depends on how you all approach it. But I do understand where a lot of you in the community just because it's going it is going to be objectively harder for a fighter to not take damage and for tank if you're in.
Yeah,
So I so I know crypto gave S for
that's
I gave
about
him
that's a. I think that was the same thing I would say there. I think if it was just PvP, I'd put him in B. So I think the
yeah.
A. I think the A is about right.
I can understand why they would be bad in PvE like solo. I think they did really well, especially grouping with. Maybe it's just a bias, but I know Ush and I grouped together. I was a cleric and fighter. I'd keep him alive and do melee damage. We were doing all the content just why not? So
Yeah, we could go into areas that full 8-man parties were going to, and just take it a little bit slower. But we were also monopolizing the XP because it was only shared between two people, which and the loot, is nice too because he's magic class on melee class, which meant that we weren't fighting over gear ever either. So it was a dream team. It was good. It's a good matchup. You could do it with a tank too, but you need DPS. Like that would be an excruciating grind for cleric tank only.
healer plus DPS equals no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is fair. Fair.
Okay. So I think that's enough about the fighter. I think we had a couple agreements on that placement. It's A for PVX. What do we think about age for PVX?
Age.
We put mage. We really shit on mage for PVE, honestly, and I think some of it was a little unfair.
Hey,
I put my
hey, hey,
we put
hey, don't put we.
uh,
You
I'm
shadow
gonna.
mage.
Hey, look, your mage wasn't very high either. I put mage at A, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I think they were A, but
So it was
I
a
didn't.
we. We had him in the same slot.
I just didn't have them S tier.
No, I don't think they're S tier.
My
Um,
reason for putting Mage A was just like I think how they look visually A tier,
yeah,
but how they play and how they're. I think Mage. I think
yeah,
I think Mage.
it has a very high skill ceiling. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I think I added an A. Last one. I think they're A plus or S. I think higher than a.
I agree. For
I
PVX,
don't know if
yeah,
they're. I don't know if they're S tier. Just they if they get caught out in a fight in PvP, they're gonna get popped. You have to see them before they blow you up.
yeah. The thing
Like
about
if you
mage
get hit with
is
all their burst, it's.
mage
I think
is
that's with any deep.
yeah, mage in large scale PvP is amazing. Like if you have, say, you got 10 mages in your 40 man, right? Uh,
It's a
they
lot of mages.
Oh, there's not that many classes. That's not out of the question. 10 mages
Yeah,
is like a slightly higher than average, you know. Uh what is there 6 classes right now? 40 man. What would the average of that be? Uh 40 divided by 6,
Four tanks.
7. Yeah, okay, like 6 to 7 is average. Um so yeah, okay, 10 is a bit high. That's 50% higher than it should be, probably. But say you have 7. Say you have around average, right? And they all drop. I forget what the actual ability is. It's always going to be Blizzard to me. They stand in the area and it all rains down ice and everything. They all do that. The tank yanks a target in with all that AoE going on. Whoever's going to land in that is not going to live very long, you know. So I think Mage can be one of those really, really amazing people to have in your large scale PvP groups. Um, because that AoE size is a lot bigger than a fighter. Fighter is decent AoE, but they're smaller. You know, it's smaller range, so they don't have that same kind of like. Plus, it doesn't slow targets. You know, the Blizzard kind of slows everybody down. So, um, that's just one of their abilities. That's not even their burst. You know, if somebody, the raid leader marks somebody and says nuke that target, you know, a couple pyroblasts charged up, that target's not gonna last. So mage is very good in PvP. I think in large scale. In duels, I don't think it's that good in duels. Um, but yeah, PVX. Where do I want to put him? PvP. I think they had an A in PvE. I think they get A plus for PvP, so I'm gonna put them S. I don't think they're S.
A plus A plus equals.
Yeah, A plus is S. Yeah, I'll put them S. I was thinking S plus, but I don't know if they. I think that their PvE stuff brings them down a notch, so I think they're S. I think they're S for me.
That's free. I put them A plus. I think they're good. I think mages are a solid. Like, yeah, they're maybe and I have like
Yeah, I like it.
no Penumbra.
He was saying S plus, wasn't he?
Well, he said they're the top defense period. I don't know what. Well, I do know. I think when it comes to PE, I know that would have benefited.
If we had a tank. If it was me, you, and a mage, that tanking strat would not work with fighter. It just wouldn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm just
But if
saying,
we had a
yeah. No,
tank
no,
and we were
no.
full party, yes, then I absolutely want mage. Like my dream party is uh tank, 2 clerics, 1 bard, the rest mages. Screw the fighter. Screw the rangers. Get them out of here. That's my dream team. I want a ton of mages. I think that's 3 mages. 3 mages, a bard, fighter, 2 clerics. Hold on.
Hey,
Tank, 2 clerics, bard. Yeah, three mages. 3 mages, 1 fighter. And I only include the fighter because I'm gonna play the fighter. Uh, would I want a fighter in a dream team if I wasn't playing? No, I don't think so. I think I'd throw another mage in there. I think I would. I think I'd throw in this again.
put
Yeah.
puts Bard and Cleric.
not S plus
Oh
for
yeah, dude.
PVX for PVX.
Hey, I put them at PV. I put them at S plus for PVX because I think both of those classes. I think you should. Like, they're going to be.
Yeah, they're completely necessary. And also in terms of PvP, there's no one better. I
And
mean,
I
you could
agree, Penumbra,
just
one of each class
in a party, you need one of each class in a party.
would be best, so that each of your ideally you would want to, because each class has some sort of effect
Yeah. I could
that
see
will make it
throwing
easy.
I could see throwing a ranger in just for the armor debuff for the marking targets. Uh, yeah, I think I'd change my dream team up a little bit. Um, oh, you know what? Fighter actually does have. No, I still want a fighter. Yeah, you're probably right. I do want one of every class because the fighter has their roar, and so when the tank is taking too much damage, you drop a roar down, and suddenly the enemies can't deal as much damage and they take more damage. So no, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fighter has its perks, and Ranger has its mark. So people, you mark target, say, all right, fight this one. Ranger hits it, does his mark of the bear or whatever it is, and suddenly melting through its armor. So yeah, you're right. One of every is good.
I
But I
agree.
think you
Skills
can
don't
get away
stack.
with just a ton of mages. I think you can.
Well, hold on. I was going to answer Penumbra.
Yeah, 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 go for it.
So he was saying, or they were saying, skills don't stack. Three mages can't freeze the target. One thing I want to say to count that is that may be true, but when we get more skills and more abilities and hybridization blocks, I think that how we look at the skill tree now may change, and we may see more builds where a mage may only focus in. They may not, saying they may not focus in it, which would allow for, say, three mages. They are all spec differently. One being more fire mage, one mage, and one they would be able to, because they spent their points more on one side than the other. So it just, I think that may be something that comes out and we have more to look at. But I do agree with you right now. It kind of limits, what you can,
Yeah.
just because I do agree that some of these abilities, it would
They
just
the
prolong, say, some of the effects. So have people, like, if you have a fire mage and they're casting fireball, like, it won't stack, but you'll be able to keep up potentially keep the fire status, ice status, so that then when other classes attack, they're able to additional.
Yeah. They don't stack, but I believe Volatile has a max duration of like 20 seconds, but you reasonably can't actually achieve that max duration yourself to keep it up full all the time. So having two mages actually, while it's not adding additional stacks, it is going to make sure that condition is going to last pretty much the entire fight. Whereas if you're only having one mage, no target is going to be frozen indefinitely. No target is going. Well, you might have a target that's burning indefinitely because burning is really easy to trigger as a mage. But um, frozen, I think, yeah, you're right. It's not gonna stack, and the duration is like negligible. But yeah, the volatile one I think is important. Um, like maybe if you have more multiple mages, you both pick volatile on your weapon combo finishers, and then you elemental empowerment on other stats. So that your weapon combos are keeping volatile up, and you don't have to think about it for your actual rotation, and you can focus on frost and fire. There's strategies, and a lot of times whenever you have that kind of thing going on, even if you had multiple people in the party, unless you guys are in a call timing somebody conflagrating your burn or shattering somebody else shattering on your ice. Um, because while mages do lightning damage, I believe anyone with a wand can do like no, that's not true. Yeah, no, that is true. Yeah, I think it is true. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if you're wand spec, you can just change the element of it. So, correct me if I'm wrong.
The chat, you hear that? Correct him if he's wrong after this.
Yeah.
All right, Penumbra said their dream team is 2 clerics, 1 bard, 1 rangers.
It. I like it.
Like that as well.
Yeah. I feel like the battle cry can be really good if the party's about to wipe of having a fighter in there. But if your manager pulls, you don't need the
Hey, that
fighter.
wand is bugged. They're not wrong. The wand is presently procking every effect, every weapon I've with. I've had that experience too. That is
I haven't seen that.
crazy, man. It's OP as heck. You get everything, everything on.
Ooh,
They need
man.
to fix that.
I've never
Probably
experienced.
fix.
I'm stuck with
Probably
the
fix
fighter
it. All right. So next on the list is Ranger. Where are we putting Ranger? You
for PVX. Honestly, for me,
early wishes I would have
Rangers.
played Ranger.
I add a I add a C.
Yeah,
Where's
you
my
just hit the gear,
the gear?
and then
Add a row below. C.
Ranger is S. So Dumbra says Ranger is S. If you're in the community and you agree,
Ah. Ah.
+1 that. +1 that.
All right, we'll see the plus ones. I'd like to hear what people say about it. But
We're wrong in the comments.
Rangers S for
Lowest is
PVE.
Ranger.
You know, I have seen. Okay, there is a argument to be made for Ranger because we're talking PVX, and there's a
Yeah.
category that really doesn't get brought up, and that is gathering. Right? There is actual perks to pick a class with mobility that is outside combat mobility if you're a gatherer. Right? So Ranger kind of checks that box. You're going to be able to get to areas that um, are harder to get to than other classes because they have that leap. There's some areas that you just can't get to. Like even with the fighter's leap strike, where you basically got your heroic leap and land, it does not scale on terrain. So it's really hard. You can't glitch into areas or get into areas that are supposed to be inaccessible. And Ranger can get in those easily. Um, Ranger getting on rooftops, done, no problem. Ranger getting over an edge of a cliff that you'd have to go a long way around for, no problem. Ranger's got that. So I think Ranger does get points for being a good at gathering because they can get to places that are harder to get to for other classes.
Right. So on my end, Penumbra says Rangers S, A plus to S. Crypto says Ranger is. So how are we gonna end this discrepancy? Need
But I'd love to see a poll. See what they say. It's all right.
all
I
right.
mean, we had a couple comments from the, like S or B. Um, S is really high in my opinion for all kinds of content. Um, Somebody was making an argument that Rangers are really good in PvP, and I would agree in duels. except if you're dealing with like a bard or a cleric. And I think if you need to alienate certain classes, then it's not all as good as you would expect in PvP. Maybe it can handle most of the classes pretty well, but if it is just incapable of dealing with kind of our two leaders over here, Bard and Cleric, and maybe it can. Maybe it can. Maybe, I have not seen it do well against those two. Um, so I would never give it an S plus for combat or for PvP. And so I think if you don't give it an S plus in one category, it's hard to give it an S for a joint category. Um, my PvE ranking for Rangers pretty low. I think yours was too. You were like C for Ranger, right? Was it a C? What did you end up
If
putting
you
at?
be if you be if you be the ranger, then you see the fighter. And then Crypto said if you consider gathering, because that is a good point.
Yeah, I would consider it an A. I think I'd put him at A. Yeah, they have the mobility that gets them in places that
The number is saying their rangers were better at solo fighters, and in our case, our fighters were better than.
it depends what content you're doing too. Because like if you're bringing on one target and you're sniping it down before it gets to you, Ranger's good. But if you're talking about XP grind, if you're talking about pulling like 13 enemies at once and not caring and killing them all before you're dead because you have a crazy heal, Fighter is goaded. It can totally solo content that you would absolutely die as a ranger with. You just, I mean, I've seen people try to pull the pulls I was pulling with Fighter, and they just can't do it. Um, so I think, but I think you have a point. I think it does get an A for me. It's it's that's a huge jump from what I put it in before. No, 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 it wasn't. I put B. I put Rangers at B last time. I didn't even have a C my last rating. Yeah, I will give it an A. I think that's a fair I think that's a fair assessment. An A is good. A is not bad at all. Are you still waiting for your poll or have you decided?
He can pull 10 to 11, 12 level orders, 18 ranger, fight them, kill with them all. I hope he could kill a level 10, 12 level, level 20.
And what level are these otters? What do you say the level of otters are?
I get it now. He said he can pull 10 through a level 20 otters. So he's saying he can get all of them together, AoE him down.
Okay. I mean, I believe you. I'm not gonna say. Um, I would say, you from my experience, you are a anomaly because I've seen too many rangers dying making big pulls. Could be that the rangers I see are not very good. And that is biased on my opinion. I've seen a lot of fighters do big pulls and be totally fine, and I've seen rangers struggle. But if you're doing pulls like that, I mean, good on you. Uh, honestly, props. It's good because you have a much slower heal as a ranger, so that if you make a mistake, it's harder to recover. So yeah, good on you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that Penumbra's a bard, but I'm gonna say I agree. I think we're both a little biased because like we have had like not necessarily bad rangers, but we had rangers who may not
No,
us
the
to have been playing with,
to be perfectly
and I
honest,
think that our fighters may not be may be better than fighters that are playing, just because like because that's all everyone's coming from. The numbers like yo, my rangers slap. we're like, yo, well, our Rangers couldn't find their way out of a wet bag.
You
You know
know,
what I'm
to be
saying?
perfectly fair, I think Penumbra's right because I just realized that the main ranger that we played with, his username is Bozo, and he is. So I think he's totally right because he literally, that's exactly, oh, you're totally right. We just had a bad ranger. He's going to see this video later on. He's gonna be like, oh, no, he's crap. He's saying all about me. No, he wasn't that bad, but you
But
know,
we bumping Ranger up to A plus.
but we're bumping Ranger. I don't think I can give it an S, but I think yeah, we'll say A plus for Ranger. I'll say A
All
plus.
right.
Yeah. All right, I have Tank next on my list here
All right.
for
Last but not least,
yeah,
Tank. You're saying?
what I'm saying. And
All right.
I'm saying for all forms of content, I think I gave it last time for PvE an A because it only has one job and it does it. There's no class that does it better than itself, right? As it should. But it needs a lot of work. I don't think you could ever say that it is still a completely necessary class. Um the fact that there are not enough tanks on our server, we were constantly missing tanks, tells me that people maybe don't like it as much. So I think it needs some tweaking. I think it needs some tweaking. In PvP, some people made some great arguments that it is a really, really good PvP, especially in large group PvP, because the thing that makes your group get a kill is that grapple. Suddenly you're just your entire party's staying close together, AOing everything that's on themselves to protect themselves, and you get a grapple, boom, you bring in an enemy, he's dead. He's gone. You know. So tank is a really, really important class in PvP, and it's a very, very important class in PvE. Like you need them, right? There's not that many of them on our server, which suggests that they need work because people are not enjoying it as much. So I can't give it an S plus, even though I think it's a very good class because it is necessary and it fulfills its roles. But I think I gotta give it more than the A I gave it before because it's rating in PvP. It's good, very good. So I might give it an S. This is a very lopsided on the upper tier list for me. I don't have anything that's rated very low because I think when you include all forms of content, things start to move up because they balance out a little bit.
I put a tank as S tier. When it comes, like, yeah, it may not be the best for when it comes all like when it comes to all forms of content, the tank is important and gonna need it regardless of how you feel. Because whenever you're starting to get into late game, start getting aids or just advanced, you need that. It like yeah, fighter is cool because they can do damage. And Penumbra made up a good pair that there are not enough tanks in their guild as well. Really fixed it. It's not that they're not. It's not that they're not fun, although that may be the case. A lot of individuals lean towards DPS, and I believe that is because one DPS is if you had to pick, it's like DPS do big number equal fun. You know what I'm saying? Killing everything. You just
Yep.
don't have to think. It's brain dead. You get in the game and you can just be like bang 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 bang. You just kill, have fun, do whatever. You're playing a ranger, you're doing flips. If you're doing a mage, you're blinking around, teleporting. if you're a rogue, when you're a rogue, you're gonna be going shadows, shadow assassinating people, like the the bards sliding in. Everyone has like their own thing. Whereas like if you're a tank, the only thing is you're gonna be like, well, in front of the mob, I gotta pull your gameplay loops. You pull them, stand in front, hit them a little bit. You're not necessarily doing a big number. You're doing small. You're doing many small. Your job isn't to do big numbers all the time, and it's also more difficult. And if you're playing a tank, your team has to be good. Which, if you're, don't want to play, like if you don't want to play in a group, you probably don't want to play tank because tank, you're almost at a certain level, you're going to be required to play
Yeah,
because everyone's going to want to.
if you're gonna solo, I would never pick tank.
Yeah, and then it's like you have to have good gear, you have to have a good team. Healer don't heal you, you die. DPS don't do DPS, you die. They don't stun. If they don't interrupt after you've done all your interrupt, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're only one interrupting, you're gonna die. So it's just like people don't want to be up there, literally holding the team back, making sure this big old boss don't go over there and face. And it just takes one DPS to be like, I fell off the edge and aggroed all the mobs, and then look, you're
Yeah,
dead.
yeah.
You have to taunt them, and then you're dead.
That is,
So
you make a really good point there too, because there is something that could deduct points from tank, and it is that tank is always going to use heavy armor, and they are always going to, well, not always, they're most likely going to die first in a party, which means that they're more costly to play. You're going to do armor repairs, which can add up quite a bit. Like I've had armor repairs on medium armor that cost me almost 50 silver, which is half a gold. Dude, gold is not easy to get unless you're running caravans. And if you're doing that as a, you know, that takes time out of your day. Getting that caravan and 50 silver every once in a while, like it doesn't sound like a lot unless you've played. 50 silver is a lot. Until you've like unless you master the market and you're like buying and selling, which they're gonna have some new features come phase two, December 20th. Um or buying and selling so people can actually just sit in, you know, the city and actually monopolize the market and do some good stuff. Not an auction house, but kind of close. Um, so
player market.
there'll be some, yeah, player market is going to give people uh easier access to money if you're good at watching market and being like an economist, right? So you may not struggle if that's your niche, but if you have to run caravans, that's a lot of time out of your day. Because usually a caravan run, if you're gonna run effective route, you get more gold the farther you go. So most of your time, your route is gonna take 45 minutes to an hour, um, and there's a chance you won't make it there because you could get attacked. So, and that's, those are, in addition to that, you had to grind the glint to invest in your caravan as well. So it's more than 45 minutes. It's your grind time or whatever that took to fill up your caravan, and then, your caravan run itself, which could maybe not pay off. You could be poor for a while, but 50 silver is it a considerable amount if you're that's medium armor. So imagine heavy armor. You know, I don't know how much they're paying, but it's a lot.
I do want to bring this up real quick.
Yep.
Number crypto and Pinocchio. Crypto stated tanks are for tanks in every game. Or was healers are the failed because one of the DPS are more less the DPS are getting everybody killed because they over what the team. And then the last well, they said no, won't always heavy armor. Light armor has better resist,
It's true.
but I
It's true.
managing. I think that also. I think you should mix match. I think having like tank war have that magic armor are able to.
Yeah,
Not saying that they're and guilds chip in. There's 100%. I think that is
true.
good
Yeah,
for an organization. Because like if you all are really operating, going pace and active, good because tank is off, and if the members of that group tanks will need yes that because they're going to be need fire damage, ice damage, everything. They're going to be one of the play,
yeah.
but I think
Ra-
and
Rafanu.
then
Oh, go ahead.
I'll let you take that.
Okay, Rafanu saying, I thought we were only able to play on the 20th. Are we currently playing? I've been playing since October 25th, I think. So yeah, it's been up. We've been doing phase one. There's gonna be a server wipe on December 20th. Uh, so that is what we are really, really waiting for. They, um, they did actually do a sneak peek server test, like server stress test that we got to do yesterday. I don't know if you got to play today. I didn't. I was working all day. And they're gonna be having that stress test tomorrow. If your wave pack starts the 20th, you won't be able to play the stress test. But no, we're playing right now. I'll probably be on tomorrow as well. The stress test actually shows a lot of the stuff that is going to be present in phase two. So you have like we can play the new dwarf, we can play the new desert human, the Valoon, I believe it is, and freeholds are up, player stalls are up, and nodes are working and growing based on XP. So lots of new features that they are getting us to test. So yeah, good question.
Welcome, fam. Yeah, and we'll be here on the 20th. We're just doing like a little list of what we think next,
Yeah.
and just want to out with us when the game goes live. Make sure you follow or subscribe, depending if you're currently live on Twitch, X, Kick, and
Um,
same here, Penumbra. I am off until the 7th. I actually go back into work. I've been playing games, trying to take advantage. Need to build up.
yeah, get them going so you can schedule them to go out. Yeah. And as far as me, I'm just on two. I'm just on Twitch and YouTube currently. I'll probably get a kick eventually. Okay. Did we do everything?
Yep.
Yeah. I was almost gonna move tank down a tier because of the expensiveness of them, but made a good point. Guilds should pitch in for tank repairs, and I think that offsets it enough. And they absolutely should. So, if your guild isn't doing it, petition because they should do that. You are you are you're the most important link, but often the weakest link in terms of like party deaths, just because that is your role. Not because you're bad necessarily, but is because like if you're dying, um, it isn't necessarily because you're bad at the game. It's because you're the tank. So that's a kind of that's yeah. How long were we on
Remember
there for?
we've been stream.
About
We've
three
been
hours almost.
this. Yeah, we've been on here for 3 hours. And real quick, before we in this row, I wanted to keep going real quick.
Yeah.
Rogue, most definitely. I'm gonna go with Penumbra, A plus Rogue, S Summoner, S Summoner. That's what we're doing right here.
Oh, you're
S.
doing the Rogue dirty. I hope Rogue's great, honestly. I hope Rogue is a lot of fun. I think it will be. If they're gonna release it new, people are gonna be really hyped about it. And I think it's better for them to uh overbuild it, make it a little bit better starting off, and then bring it back. Because if it's hyped up, right? Excuse me. If it's hyped up and everybody joins in and plays it and then finds out no one likes it,
It will be bad.
it's gonna that's not good for the game. Not good for the game, not good for new players because there'll be new players coming in. Any new class should be good bef- before they start doing the balance. So I hope that Rogue is S plus right away. And then I hope they bring every class to S plus. But um yeah, I hope it's high early on so that it doesn't lose any PR for the game. Because we all hope that Ashes is going to be the best MMO in the world eventually. Yeah.
Well, before we end the tier list section, I'm gonna say Penumbra is over here saying Glass Cannon, Rogue will be squishy melee, Ranger still better, Rogue will burst good, better. Any last take? Any rebuttals to that?
I think he's right, honestly. I think it will be squishy, but you have a melee with a invisibility, something that can eliminate threat, just like a ranger. Just because it's a glass cannon doesn't mean it's bad. You know, it's gonna be able to drop its own threat, which means it doesn't need to heal as much. Of course, that makes it hard for it to solo fights, but we want to see high burst rogues, in my opinion. I hope it has higher bursts in the fighter. Um, dude, I
I
think it's
just
good.
I just thought of something.
Yeah,
Now hear me out. Imagine you have a rogue and a ranger in a party. They're both invisible. Ranger pops stealth first and just unloads all the snipe shot, and you're like, "Hey, let me get that rogue over there. Let me get that ranger over there." You run over there. You're like, "Let's get him." Next thing you know, the rogue pop stealth. Boom. Got
yeah,
you.
oh yeah. This
I
the
think
stealth
I think that'd
combo
be
is
a
gonna
good
be good.
wombo combo.
Or imagine, say something crazy here. 5 rogues.
I don't know how that work. A team of
Oh
rogues
man,
would be interesting.
Team of Rogues is gonna be a nightmare for streamers. It's gonna be bad.
And all that stream.
I remember
All right.
there was this group
Hold on
and
real quick. Hold on real
yeah,
quick.
no,
I'm
go
gonna do
go.
this. We ending it. We out.
Yeah, go for it.
We out.
Yeah.
We out. All right. I just wanted to say that for my video. I say I'm out and then in the video. Now we just live stream YouTube. I'm done recording section free to do whatever. I just wanted to
I know you're good. I'm trying to remember. I was saying something about there was this group in Classic or WoW Classic or Classic WoW. The one that the remake essentially. I didn't play way back. Um yeah, WoW Classic. So the remake of the classic experience. Um there was this group of like 3 brothers that were they all played troll rogues and they're real life brothers and they all had names like I think it was like Ooga Booga Nooga or something. Like each one was Ooga and then Booga and then Nooga, and they would just all be invisible and then just show up on like Soda Pop's stream and just take him out. And he's like, "This is classic. Wow, that takes so long to get everything back and come back." Yeah, they're a menace, but apparently well liked, except for the stream sniping. They were stream snipers for sure. Good in the community,
Hey,
but bad for the streamers. I'll play me some Rogue for that.
yeah, it'll be interesting to I would like to try them out. I never really played a rogue. Uh, I either played a bruiser or I played some like I'm playing whenever I'm playing.
I want to like minions, but I honestly I really love the aesthetic of minions. I love having a kind of a summoner character that has, a lot of minions, but Ashes, I believe you're supposed to have up to what is it? 3 or 5 minions total? Is it 5?
Hey, five.
I think it. Let me pull it up here. Um,
Hey, I just want minion. I just want my army here. I played almost everything in WoW. Certainly had a good run.
whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't mind rogue. It's just like my play style. I either just want and just throw magic at you and around me, or I want to be a bruisery tank, keep punching you in the face and healing myself. Well, I don't want to care about that. Go invisible. I ain't tried that extra. You went over there. Play. I play the games. I play League. Below top lane. Boy was either Aurelia, Renekton. Those are my guys. Arius, Cho'Gath. Uh, if I could just have a whole bunch of health and then just slow you down, keep keep punching you till you go away. That's what I like playing in games. Or play a night, sit back, hang minions at. So
Something
that's
to
why.
note too is like as far as like when the rogue comes in, um Mage is gonna move up the tier list because Mage has the ability to see invisible enemies. So gonna move up and like I don't feel like the invisibility is much of a perk for Ranger all that much. They don't use it in PvP. I feel like they should. I don't see it very often. Um, but yeah, yeah, seeing invisibility is a definite perk for Mage. I think it moves him up.
Keeping going. Are we done here?
I think I'm done. I think I've said my piece. It is it's getting a little late for me and I've got a big job tomorrow. So I'm hoping I can come back and get on early enough to actually play some during the stress test tomorrow, but we will see. We'll see. Thanks for stopping in everybody. And I'm on YouTube and Twitch. We got quite a few. We got YouTube and Twitch for Moikapy over here. Um, I think he's also got Kick and what is the other one? It's on X too. You stream on X as well, right?
Yep.
So he's Moikapy. I've been Guildmaster Ush on YouTube and Ush Online on Twitch.